Many men believe that being single is a sign of failure, that it reflects something fundamentally wrong with them. But this perspective is deeply flawed. Being without a partner is not a condemnation of your worth, nor is it a definitive statement about your potential. It is instead an opportunity, a space in which you can develop into someone far more capable, far more disciplined, far more competent than you currently are. If you are alone, you have the chance to engage in the most important work a person can do, the work of improving yourself. When people enter relationships too soon, before they have built themselves into someone capable, they often do so out of insecurity. They seek validation from another person to compensate for what they lack internally. This is a dangerous game because it places the burden of your self-worth on someone else's shoulder. No person should carry that responsibility for you, and no healthy relationship can be built on such an unstable foundation. A person who has not yet cultivated strength and competence will not be able to offer much to a relationship anyway. They will enter it not as a full individual, but as someone seeking completion in another. And that is a recipe for dependency, not true companionship. The time you have while you are single is valuable. It is not time to be wasted in self-pity or distraction. It is time to develop yourself into someone who does not need a relationship to feel whole. That is a far more effective way to approach life than constantly seeking external validation. If you take this time seriously, if you work on your physical health, your mental clarity, your career, your skills, and your ability to navigate the world, you will find that your sense of self becomes more grounded. You will stop needing someone else to approve of you because you will approve of yourself. One of the biggest mistakes a man can make is believing that his current state is permanent. Loneliness can be painful, but it is not eternal. You are not doomed to remain in this position unless you refuse to take action. If you are alone now, then this is a perfect time to ask yourself difficult questions. Who do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to lead? What skills do you lack? What knowledge do you need? These are questions you must confront, and the answers will require effort. But effort is what transforms a person. If you use this time wisely, you will not be the same man in a year or in 5 years. You will have taken the opportunity to forge yourself into someone stronger, someone more competent, someone more self-reliant. And once you do that, once you become someone who has built a meaningful life on his own, relationships will no longer be a desperate pursuit. They will become a natural extension of the life you have created. Many people fail to see this because they are so consumed by the idea that being single is a failure. They do not recognize that this stage of life, however long it lasts, is their greatest opportunity for self-improvement. It is a time to cultivate discipline, to acquire knowledge, to build physical strength, to develop emotional resilience. It is a time to become someone who does not just stumble into a relationship out of need, but enters one from a position of strength. A relationship should not be the thing that saves you from yourself. That is an immense burden to place on another person, and it is deeply unfair. Instead, a relationship should be something that adds to an already fulfilling life. And the only way to ensure that is to make your life fulfilling first, to take full advantage of the time you have now while you are single, to build yourself into someone worthy of respect, both from others and from yourself. The mistake many people make is seeing their lack of a relationship as a limitation, rather than an opportunity. They waste their energy lamenting their situation instead of using that energy to grow. But every great transformation begins with solitude. Every strong man was once alone, working in the shadows, building his competence, refining his skills. And that work is what allowed him to step into the world as someone who is not merely hoping for a relationship, but who is choosing whether or not one aligns with the life he has built. The truth is that a man who has used his time well, who has taken the opportunity to develop himself, will never truly be alone in the way that weak men are, because he will have built something valuable, something that draws people in rather than repelling them. He will not need to chase validation because validation will come naturally when he stands firmly in his own worth. And that is why being single is not a failure. It is a challenge, a test, and an opportunity for transformation. A man who lacks competence and discipline is not truly independent. He may believe that freedom means doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants, but that is not freedom. That is chaos. Real freedom comes from having the ability to control yourself, to master your impulses, to direct your life in a meaningful way. Without competence, you are at the mercy of circumstances. Without discipline, you are a slave to your emotions. If you cannot govern yourself, someone or something else will govern you instead. This is why the development of competence and discipline is not just an advantage, it is a necessity. A man who is undisciplined is unreliable. He cannot be trusted with responsibility. He cannot be depended upon when things get difficult. And because of this, he does not inspire confidence in others. People do not gravitate toward a man who cannot take care of himself, because such a man is a liability. And this is just as true in relationships as it is in any other area of life. A man who lacks discipline does not make a good partner. He is inconsistent, unfocused, and unable to provide stability. And stability is what people seek in someone they are considering as a potential partner. Competence, on the other hand, is what makes a man capable. It is what allows him to navigate the world with confidence. When a man is competent, he knows how to solve problems. He knows how to take action. He does not crumble under pressure. He does not require constant reassurance or guidance. He becomes someone that others look to for leadership. And this is incredibly attractive, both socially and romantically. A competent and disciplined man does not need a relationship to validate his worth. He knows his value because he has built it through effort. He has developed skills, he has created stability in his life, and he has cultivated a mindset that allows him to face challenges without fear. This kind of man does not chase people, people come to him. Because strength, competence, and discipline are rare and they are deeply respected. The mistake many men make is thinking that attraction is simply about appearance or charm. These things may capture attention momentarily, but they do not sustain interest. What sustains interest is a foundation of competence and discipline. A man who has built himself up, who has taken responsibility for his growth, is far more attractive than a man who merely relies on external qualities. Because while looks fade and charm can be deceptive, competence is permanent. But competence does not come easily. It requires effort. It requires failure. It requires persistence. Many men avoid this work because it is difficult. They look for shortcuts, for easy ways to gain respect, for tricks to attract people without having to truly change themselves. But there are no shortcuts. If you want to be respected, if you want to be valued, you must earn it through action. And this is what discipline allows you to do. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation fades. It is what ensures that you stay consistent, that you continue developing even when it feels like no progress is being made. It is what separates those who achieve from those who merely dream. And this applies to all areas of life: your career, your physical health, your relationships, your personal development. If you are not disciplined, you will remain stagnant. If you are not competent, you will remain dependent. The reason discipline and competence make a man independent is that they allow him to take control of his own destiny. A disciplined man does not wait for opportunities, he creates them. He does not wait for external validation, he validates himself through his achievements. And because of this, he becomes someone who is genuinely valuable. This is what separates men who are merely existing from men who are truly living. A man who lacks discipline is reactive. He is constantly at the mercy of his emotions. He procrastinates. He makes excuses. He allows circumstances to dictate his path. But a disciplined man is proactive. He does not let setbacks deter him. He does not rely on motivation alone. He has built habits that ensure his progress, regardless of how he feels in the moment. And this ability to persist, to continue moving forward despite obstacles, is what makes him powerful. The truth is that people respect those who have built themselves into something formidable. They admire strength, they admire competence, and they admire discipline. And this admiration is not based on words alone, it is based on action. If you want to be independent, if you want to be respected, then you must cultivate these qualities. You must put in the work. And if you do, you will find that you no longer need to chase approval, because approval will naturally come to you. Relationships built on dependency are weak. If you enter a relationship before you have built yourself up, you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position. You are relying on someone else to provide you with stability, with confidence, with validation. And this makes you easy to manipulate. But when you have competence and discipline, when you have built a life that is strong and meaningful on its own, you are not entering a relationship out of need. You are entering it out of choice. Choice is power. The ability to choose rather than to settle is what gives a man control over his life. And choice only comes when you have options. You cannot have options if you are weak. You cannot have options if you are undisciplined. You cannot have options if you have not built yourself into someone who is valuable. This is why competence and discipline are so crucial. They allow you to operate from a position of strength rather than weakness. They allow you to dictate the terms of your own life rather than being at the mercy of circumstances. And they ensure that when the time comes to form relationships, you are not entering them out of desperation, but as a man who is fully capable on his own. A man without purpose is lost. He drifts through life, reacting rather than acting, waiting for things to happen instead of making them happen. Purpose gives structure to life. It gives you direction. It clarifies what matters and what does not. Without it, you become a slave to circumstance, a leaf blown by the wind, moving wherever external forces push you. And this is a dangerous place to be, because a man who lacks purpose is vulnerable. Vulnerable to manipulation, to distractions, to despair. He has no foundation, nothing to hold on to when life inevitably becomes difficult. When a man does not have a purpose, he often seeks meaning in things that cannot truly fulfill him. He looks for validation in relationships, in social approval, in fleeting pleasures. He tries to fill the void with distractions, with entertainment, with anything that makes him forget, even for a moment, that he is lost. But these things do not provide real fulfillment. They only numb the pain of being directionless. They are temporary escapes, not solutions. And this is why so many men feel restless, anxious, and unsatisfied. They have not committed themselves to something greater than their immediate desires. A man with a purpose, on the other hand, is grounded. He knows where he is going. He has something to work toward, something that drives him forward even when life is hard. Purpose creates resilience. It gives you the ability to endure challenges because you are not just moving aimlessly, you are pursuing something meaningful. And this is essential because life is difficult. It is full of suffering, full of setbacks, full of obstacles. If you do not have a reason to keep pushing forward, you will collapse under the weight of these challenges. Purpose is not something that appears out of nowhere. It is something you build. You do not simply wake up one day with a clear sense of meaning. You develop it through effort, through exploration, through action. Many men sit around waiting for purpose to reveal itself to them, but this is the wrong approach. Purpose is discovered through work, through commitment, through the process of striving for something. It is built, not found. And this means you have to start somewhere. If you do not know what your purpose is, then your purpose should be to develop yourself into someone capable of carrying responsibility. The process of improvement itself is meaningful. The act of striving to become better, more competent, more disciplined, more capable is in itself a purpose worth pursuing. And from that foundation, other forms of purpose will emerge. As you build yourself up, as you gain strength, you will start to see the things that matter, the things that call to you, the things that are worth dedicating yourself to. A man without purpose is a man who is easy to control. He is easily swayed by opinions, by trends, by the expectations of others. He lacks a core, a center, something that keeps him stable regardless of external pressures. And because of this, he is constantly seeking approval, constantly changing himself to fit the expectations of the people around him. But a man with purpose does not need to do this. He has a direction, he has standards. He does not mold himself to the world adjusts to him. This is why purpose is attractive. A man with purpose is magnetic because he exudes confidence, certainty, and direction. He is not wandering, looking for someone to complete him. He is already complete, and this is what makes him valuable, not just to potential partners, but to society as a whole. A man who has direction, who knows what he is working toward, who is actively striving for something, is a man who contributes. He does not take, he builds, he creates, he adds value to the world. Many men fall into the trap of thinking that a relationship will give them purpose. They believe that finding a girlfriend, finding love will solve their problems, will make them feel whole. But this is backwards. A relationship should not be your purpose. It should be something that adds to an already meaningful life. If you are looking for someone else to give you direction, you are making yourself dependent. You are putting your sense of self-worth in someone else's hands, and that is a dangerous place to be. A man with purpose does not need a relationship to feel complete. He is already on a path. He is already striving towards something. And because of this, he does not enter relationships from a place of desperation. He does not settle. He does not accept less than what he deserves. He chooses from a position of strength, not from weakness. And this changes everything. It means he is not looking for someone to save him. He is looking for someone who complements his journey. Purpose is what keeps you grounded when life is uncertain. It is what keeps you moving forward when things are difficult. Without it, you are lost. Without it, you are weak. And weakness is not admired. It is not respected. It is not attractive. Strength, direction, determination. These are what make a man valuable. These are what make a man someone who is worth following, worth respecting, worth being with. And these things are only possible when you have a purpose. You do not need to have it all figured out immediately, but you do need to start. You need to take action. You need to commit to something, to strive for something, to build yourself into someone capable of carrying weight. And as you do, you will find that everything else, respect, admiration, even relationships, will follow naturally, because people are drawn to those who are going somewhere. People respect those who have built themselves up. People admire those who are strong enough to pursue meaning even in the face of difficulty. And that is what separates men who lead from men who are merely waiting to be led. Strength is not something that is given to you. It is something you earn through struggle, discipline, and responsibility. It is forged in the fires of adversity, built through the small daily acts of pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, of refusing to surrender to ease and passivity. A man who lacks strength, mental, emotional, and physical, will find himself at the mercy of the world. He will be controlled by his impulses, by the expectations of others, by the shifting circumstances of life. But a man who builds strength deliberately and consistently becomes immovable. He does not crumble when faced with difficulty. He stands firm, capable of carrying his own burdens, and more importantly, the burdens of those who depend on him. Discipline is the foundation upon which strength is built. Without it, you are merely reacting to life rather than shaping it. Discipline is doing what is necessary even when you do not feel like it. It is waking up early to pursue your goals, staying committed to your responsibilities, resisting distractions, and delaying gratification for the sake of something greater. It is a refusal to be ruled by comfort. A man without discipline is weak because he is controlled by his emotions, by his fleeting desires. He gives up when things become difficult, he avoids responsibility, and he looks for shortcuts. And in doing so, he remains stagnant. He does not grow, he does not improve, and he does not command respect. Resilience is the ability to endure suffering without breaking. It is the strength to persist in the face of setbacks, to adapt to failure without losing your direction. Life is inherently difficult, filled with pain, uncertainty, and loss. No one is immune to hardship. The difference between a strong man and a weak man is how they respond to it. The weak man crumbles, sees himself as a victim, and looks for someone to save him. He becomes bitter, resentful, blaming the world for his misfortunes. The strong man, on the other hand, takes responsibility. He does not seek pity. He understands that suffering is inevitable, but he also knows that through suffering comes growth. Every challenge is an opportunity to become stronger, to prove to yourself that you are capable of enduring, of overcoming, of thriving even in adversity. Taking responsibility is the final piece. It is the act of owning your life, of refusing to place the blame for your failures on external forces. It is acknowledging that no one is coming to save you, that your future is in your own hands. Weak men avoid responsibility because it is heavy, because it demands effort and sacrifice. They remain passive, waiting for circumstances to change, waiting for someone to fix their problems. But responsibility is what makes a man worthy of respect. When you take responsibility, you become the kind of person who can be relied upon, who others look to for guidance and leadership. You become someone who builds rather than someone who complains. A man who refuses to build his strength is a man who will be discarded by life. Society does not value weakness in men, it punishes it. If you are weak, the world will not offer you pity. It will not hand you opportunities. It will not reward you simply for existing. It will ignore you. And women in particular will not be drawn to a man who lacks strength, discipline, resilience, and responsibility. Attraction is not based on neediness or desperation. It is based on respect. And respect is earned through action, through the demonstration of competence, capability, and self-mastery. A strong man does not beg for validation. He does not rely on others to give his life meaning. He forges his own path. He understands that strength is not about aggression or dominance, but about control. control over his own mind, his own actions, his own destiny. And because of this, he commands respect naturally, effortlessly. He does not need to convince others of his value. His presence alone makes it obvious. Building strength is not an option, it is a necessity. It is the difference between being a man who is respected and a man who is ignored. It is the difference between being someone who shapes his own future and someone who is carried along by the tide of circumstance. If you are weak, you will be at the mercy of the world. If you are strong, you will dictate your own terms. And strength is not something you either have or do not have. It is something you build every day, with every decision, with every challenge you choose to face rather than avoid. A man without strength, discipline, resilience, and responsibility will find himself lost, overlooked, and powerless. The world does not reward weakness in men, it ignores it. If you refuse to build yourself, if you choose passivity over action, comfort over growth, and excuses over responsibility, you will find yourself discarded by life, unnoticed and undesired. Strength is not about physical dominance or arrogance, it is about control. Control over your emotions, your actions, and your direction. A man who commands respect does so not because he demands it, but because he has earned it through relentless self-improvement. If you want to be seen, valued, and respected, you must take ownership of your life. No one is coming to save you. The choice is yours. Remain weak and forgotten, or build yourself into a man worthy of admiration.